office when I moved to Knoxville in 2006 or 7. Does that sound right? When I move into an area, first thing I do is I watch local government TV so I can see who the moving shakers are, who's affecting my day-to-day, who's affecting my street, who's gonna get that call when my potholes get bigger and bigger. Indya was one of those very calming influences on the school board. I just remember she was just so laid back, just seemed to have such a good time being there. And nothing seemed to faze you. Those are just the perceptions that I get from you. And I've kind of followed some of Indya's activities, especially when you work in education in the area. And so I try to never get too familiar with a person's background, though I've read your website. And what I can say is that Indya Kincannon has served this community for a long, long time. And so I'm happy to give her an opportunity to address you and tell you what her vision is for the city, and tell you all about her campaign and her activities and events that are coming up. So Indya, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Michael, and for the invitation to come speak to you all. And thank you, Janet, for running for office, and David Williams, too. I think Knoxville's really lucky to have so many people interested in serving our city government, and you guys are, great candidates, so thank you for being here. Also, a special shout out to you, Janet. We went down to Mardi Gras. We've been every year, every year we could go, and it just keeps getting bigger and better, and I'm really pleased that we have that as a great resource for all the animal lovers in our community, of which there are many. I don't know how many people you estimated were downtown for that, but it was a great turnout, so congratulations and thank you. Thanks to all of you who took time out of your free time to be here tonight. I really appreciate that you take an interest in this race, and I know that we get very immersed in the coverage of news in Washington and in Nashville, and that is important, and I follow it too. But right here in Knoxville, we have a chance to make a difference, and we also have a great tradition here of getting things done in a nonpartisan, non-ideological way. So I am a progressive person and also a pragmatist who likes to get things done. As Michael alluded, I was on the school board for 10 years, and one of the things I was well noted for was really responsive constituent service. I would return phone calls right away, and in my early years, I was on the school board for 10 years, and in my early years, I would try to solve the problems for anyone who called. Someone would call and say, my child's been treated unfairly, or didn't get the right grade, or got kicked out, what happened to the other kid, whatever. And I would go in and explore it and try to fix it myself. And later, I got smarter, and you've probably learned this already. You have to let the system do work itself, because you can't personally solve every problem of every family and constituent that you represent. What you need to do as an elected official and leader is make sure that they know how to navigate the system and that the system is working for them. So you help, but you also make sure that the teachers are there to help them, and then if the teacher isn't working out, that there's a principal there or guidance counselor or whatever the case may be. So anyhow, I want to first start out by sharing a little bit about my background. We moved here in 2001. My husband got a job at UT. He's a professor at the law school, and we didn't know anybody here. We chose to come to UT. We could have gone to other places, and we were like, well, Knoxville seems all right. Let's give it a shot. We ended up buying a house in 4th and Gill back in 2001 before it was quite so popular. In fact, it wasn't really that popular at all at the time, so we got quite a good bargain. And we had my daughter Dahlia, and then we had another baby, who they're both teenagers now and in high school. And we just came to really enjoy life in Knoxville and enjoy everything about it. However, I had some concerns about blighted properties in our neighborhood, and so I got involved in the neighborhood organization. So kudos to you, David, for starting a neighborhood organization, because not every neighborhood has that advantage. And those that do, some of them, you need people willing to put in the time. Someone's got to say, we're going to meet on these days, and we're going to work on this issue of whatever the issue is. So I was an officer of our neighborhood organization and helped start our website, and I edited the newsletter and was really involved in the empowerment zone activities that were going on at the time. And then in 2004, I found out that the current school board member was not going to run for re-election. It was Paul Kelly, for those of you who've been around for a while. He'd been a stalwart on the school board and served 12 years. And Brian Hornbeck, you served with him, I believe, and hopefully you have a high impression of him. So it was an open seat. I looked into what the job requirements were. It was a policy, budget, and caring about kids in public education. I have a master's degree. I went to college, got a history major, and then I taught for a while and earned a full scholarship to get a master's degree in urban and regional planning and public affairs at Princeton. It was a great opportunity. And then, so when I worked in various entities after that, but when I was looking into the school board job, I was like, well, this is perfect. I've been a teacher. I've worked in budget worlds and understand spreadsheets, and I care strongly about the quality of public education. So I put my hat in the ring and ended up winning a 5-way race and served on the school board. I was reelected 2 times. I was chair for 3 of those 10 years. And I'll tell you real briefly some of the things I'm most proud of during those 10 years. First, I was really proud to serve all 10 of those years on the Project Grad Board. For those of you in North Knoxville and East Knoxville, that's a program that supports kids who may be the first in their families to go to college. But it starts in kindergarten, because we all know if you wait till high school to get ready for college, and if you're too far behind, it's not too late, but it's much harder. So Project Grad starts in kindergarten and goes all the way through exposing kids to the idea that they can go to college or tech school or trade school, just something beyond high school to prepare them for college and career. So I was real proud to be a part of that. I was also one of the founding members of the Great Schools Partnership. I'm proud to see my friend Olivia here tonight, who's a resource coordinator at Green Magnet Academy. The Great Schools Partnership, if some of you may know, is a support service it started out at just 2 schools, Pond Gap and Inskip, and now is at 18 different schools throughout the county, mostly inside the city. And I remember back when we were trying to get schools to sign on and join it, and people were like, oh, not another program. And now schools are lining up to participate. And what it does is provide, so many kids come to school with non-academic challenges. They're hungry, they need glasses, they have unsettled situations at home and not enough attention maybe from adults because their families are working 10 jobs, or maybe some are having legal issues or whatever. Whatever the reason, they have challenges that teachers aren't equipped to solve. So the resource coordinator's job is to bring those resources. A lot of people want to help kids. They'll say, I want to help, I'll tutor, I'll provide dental care, whatever it is. But the teachers, even just the level of coordinating that takes some doing. So that's why we have the resource coordinators at these higher needs schools. So I'm really proud to have supported that and think it's making a big difference. Another thing I'm really proud of in my time in the school board is back in 2005, we were having a lot of kids getting bullied, in particular kids who were LGBT were getting bullied by their classmates. And so at that time, I proposed that we add LGBT and transgender identity language into our school policy about student harassment. And I'm proud to say that we passed that unanimously, 9-0. And not because everyone was super progressive about those ideas, especially back in 2005, but because I was able to couch it in terms that students need to feel safe in order to learn. And that's not an ideological issue. We're just here to protect the kids and make sure they can learn in a safe, supportive environment. And so I mention that because I care about being equitable and inclusive, but also because I have the ability to find common ground with people who may not have the exact same mindset about every issue, but we look to find common ground. And I think that's really essential so we can be one united Knoxville and address our challenges together. So the last thing I wanted to mention is another factor that happened when I was at school board that I think demonstrates my leadership and values is at one point the superintendent said, we can save $5 million by outsourcing our custodians, and we can use that money to pay teachers more. So of course, everyone knows teachers aren't paid enough and we need to pay them more. However, to do that to pay teachers more by taking it from the least among us, some of our lowest paid workers who are part of the school family, didn't seem right to me. So I made a case to my colleagues on the board and said I didn't think this was the best way to rob Peter to pay Paul, essentially. So we were able to vote against the outsourcing and find another way to bridge the gap. And to this day, school custodians who, if you've had kids in school, you know that they know your kids. They're cleaning up after them when they get sick. They're like indirect social workers sometimes. Sometimes a kid may not connect with their teacher, but they, do high fives with the custodian every day, and that makes them feel like they belong. So I'm really pleased that we were able to keep our custodians inside the school system, in part because that they get paid better and have better benefits. And what that means is when you treat your people right, they're more loyal, they're more dedicated, they work harder, and they feel like they're part of the team, which is, educating our kids. So that's a little bit about my school board world. I left the school board in 2014. My husband got a Fulbright scholarship, and we moved to Slovenia for a year, which was a great experience. I taught at the international school that our daughters attended, and he was at the University of Ljubljana, which is a town I'd never heard of before and didn't know how to pronounce. And it was a great experience, really, wonderful opportunity. However, it really made us, all that much more appreciate Knoxville and America. We loved experiencing what life was like in a former communist country in Eastern Europe, but it just makes you appreciate more the freedoms and diversity and that sort of thing that we have. We have a very vibrant economy and a lot more freedoms here, and so it was good to see those contrasts and come back and appreciate that. Also, while we were gone, in just 1 year, Knoxville kept getting better. There were a lot of new businesses opening, a lot of positive things happening, a lot of new people coming to town, and excitement about Knoxville, which we felt the same. So shortly after we got back, I ran into Madeline Rojero, and she offered me a job with her team in the mayor's office, and I said absolutely. I've been a supporter of hers since she first ran for mayor in 2003, and was glad to have the opportunity to work with her. So I worked with her starting in 2015, and I left my position with her only because I'm running to succeed her. She is term limited, and I think she's moving the city in the right direction, and I want to continue to build on her success. I'll tell you real briefly the kinds of stuff I did for her. One is I was her school liaison, which was a small part of my job, but important to represent her on the Great Schools Partnership Board and other things. The other was, what else did I do? Okay, I oversaw the grants. She gives out $1.2 million in grants to all kinds of local agencies, social service agencies, like the Boys and Girls Club, and Connect Ministries, which helps formerly incarcerated people connect to jobs. Also arts organizations like Carpetbag Theater and KMA, the Knoxville Museum of Art. I think there's close to 60 different grant recipients. Small grants, but to entities that $5,000 or $10,000 can really make a big difference. And also bigger grants on the capital side too, like Knoxville Botanical Gardens or the Knoxville Urban League, to when they are redoing their buildings and that sort of thing. The other thing I did for the mayor was board appointments. You all are very involved members of this community, so the mayor gets to appoint hundreds of people to different boards: Board of Zoning Appeals, Metropolitan Commission, Planning Commission. Yeah, Metropolitan Planning Commission. Thank you. Greenways Commission, Food Policy Council. There's over 50 different boards, and it's citizen government at its best. And one of the things I helped the mayor with was automate, create a database so those appointments could be a little easier to track than just an analog Excel spreadsheet, which was a little hard to keep track of all the different things. But more importantly is once we had a good database, we could tell, are the appointments that she's making representative of the city? Are they from all parts of town? Are there men and women, black and white, old people, young people, middle-aged people, that sort of thing? So ideally, you want to have the people that are representing you, citizen government, represent the demographics of the city. So we made some effort to just be aware of that and then see who had the time and interest in serving on these various boards, because it's all volunteer. and they can be a lot of time, but they're very important too. So I also did various things with her that would come up more ad hoc. Every year the Affordable Care Act enrollment has an open enrollment period, and particularly a couple of years ago, there's so much political rhetoric about Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act that a lot of people who may have been eligible to get major subsidies may not have pursued that because of politics. So the open enrollment events were not political at all. It was just a chance for people to go and find out what their options were with a professional navigator, because it's complicated to figure out what you're eligible for. So I helped promote that. Other various things that came up. So that was a little bit of what I did with the city. It was a great opportunity for me to have a front row seat to city government and learn the ins and outs of who does what in the city, which would really help me hit the ground running if I'm lucky enough to be elected. So now I'll take a minute or two to tell you about my hopes and dreams and vision for the city if I'm elected. There's three things I want to mention. One is strong neighborhoods, two is vibrant economy, and three is proven leadership. So strong neighborhoods, some of you I'm sure I know David is here. David Lee is head of Town Hall East. We have great neighborhood organizations all across the city, and they are essential to a strong, healthy city. We're only as strong as our neighborhoods. So I want to serve the neighborhoods and listen to the neighborhoods. And I think that I've also, as part of the campaign, one of the fun things is you get to go to neighborhood meetings across the city, and there's a ton of common ground, and yet sometimes the solutions are unique to each community. And so I think it's best to hear from the people in the neighborhoods to know what they think are the problems, and also what they think are the solutions. Does that mean you can please everybody? No. I've learned from 10 years on the school board, you learn that you can't please everybody for sure. And sometimes you have to make decisions that won't always be pleasing, but I intend to listen to what the people who live in Knoxville think is best. And so some of the issues I've heard most about, in addition to what you guys were saying, recode and police and other things, the basics, what I hear about most is people want city services to be efficient and on time and equitable and transparent, and they want to have good parks, they want to have access to greenways, they want to have transit that works, that is reliable, and also I'm really committed to serving the people first in terms of things like the Chilhowie Park plan that's coming just a couple blocks away. They're working on a vision for that. I think it's really important that we listen to the communities right here in East Knoxville to know what is it that you think would be best. Because if you make things that are improvements that serve the people who live here, then it's going to be also attractive to people who live on other parts of town, and also people who come here for visiting too. So that's part of what I want to do on strong neighborhoods. Vibrant economy. We can't do anything unless we have people who can work and earn an income and have businesses and good jobs. So I'm committed to, in my background in education, I think a missing link that we have is workforce development and talent cultivation. We have a lot of talented people, and we have some jobs that are open, but people aren't qualified yet or don't know that they exist and haven't applied. So I would like to, if I'm elected, have a workforce development, I don't know what the title would be, maybe workforce development liaison or talent coordinator, something like that, to connect all the good people who are working on this already, be it in the school system, in nonprofit world, or in the Chamber of Commerce, and help people connect those dots so the people who want jobs and aren't qualified can get access to training, people who want jobs and are qualified can get connected to jobs, and people who, just connect those dots a little bit more energetically maybe than is happening right now. Another thing that I would be interested in pursuing is more equitable access and widespread access to high-speed internet. I think that we should consider having high-speed internet as a public utility. It's pretty much an essential tool to today's commerce, as much essential as water and electricity, I would say. I don't know any business that can operate without it. even an Airbnb, once they get there, you don't need it, but to get your reservations and advertise, I'm sure that's a key, it's sort of a necessity these days. So more access to high-speed internet for businesses and individuals, and workforce development. Those are two key things. And also to continue to focus on development, but not just downtown, to try to focus on Sutherland, Chapman Highway, Magnolia, those corridors that need more investment, and that things are coming along here and there. You see, South Knoxville is a good example on Sevier Avenue. Magnolia's got some things percolating, the coffee shop for one. But there's room for growth there, and not that requires digging up green space, but we can use places that are already built up, already have sewer, already have sidewalks, and we don't need to start from scratch and tear up beautiful green space. We can just redevelop. I'm glad to see Dawn Michelle Foster here, who's the director of the city's Office of Redevelopment, and there are a lot of good things happening, including here in East Knoxville. So the last thing I want to mention is proven leadership. I'm running because I care about Knoxville. I love Knoxville, and I want to be a public servant to the community. I think I have the experience on school board and just in public service generally to get the job done, and I would appreciate your vote on August 27th. And I'll be happy to take questions.